Hi everyone, this is Sarah at the Catholic Homemaker. Today I'm going to be talking about how we can prepare ourselves for Lent in 2020. Lent this year is on February 26th, and Lent is a time of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. As Catholics especially, that is what we like to have as our focus of what will be happening during that time. And it's really a time of inner reflection for ourselves. It's a time for stepping back and reflecting, what are the attachments to sin do I have in my life? What can I do to make myself a better person? And it's a time of sacrifice, of course, because of Christ's ultimate sacrifice for us on the cross and for his deep love for us and never-ending love for us. So to bring it back to growing up with Lent, I'm sure a lot of us who grew up with Lent probably just gave up things like candy or chocolate, desserts, and I know for a number of years, those are the kinds of things that I gave up. And they certainly were hard to do. They were definitely a sacrifice, and I didn't always succeed. There were times where I definitely just gave in and ate it, or even sometimes forgot, and I was like, oh, okay. But really what we want to be focusing on is this really a true sacrifice for me? Is this something that I am attached to that is bringing me away from God? And what are the kinds of things in my life that I can do or give up that will bring me closer to God? And this is something that I have been struggling with for the past few years, especially when it comes around to Lent. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, what else am I attached to? Well, I remember last year thinking, I'm probably needing to give up a little more of social media, or maybe a lot of it. And the problem, or maybe part of the excuse I would make, is that, well, I have a business. I run a blog, and now I have a YouTube channel, and what am I gonna do if I completely just be silent on social media for all those days? But this year it's been coming back on my heart, and I've pretty much decided that's something that I really need to give up for Lent, because I feel that it is getting in the way of me becoming even closer to God. I feel like it's kind of a bad habit of sometimes scrolling too much on Facebook or Instagram, and I would make the excuse like, oh, I have to do it for my business, but then sometimes you just get caught in that black hole of Facebook and Instagram. And I think what I personally will end up doing is I won't put a complete ban on it for me, just because I want to stay engaged with my audience, but I will make it a rule that I will just pretty much make it business on both of these platforms, and I won't do it for entertainment purposes. And even with YouTube too, I will just pretty much limit those things to research for me, for my business, or just engaging with my audience, or if people tag me in things. But otherwise, I'm not gonna just do the mindless scrolling on Facebook, or looking for videos to watch on YouTube. And I think there are just much better ways I can spend my time. And of course, with my young daughters, I do spend all day with them, but there are times where I just really shouldn't be looking at my phone at all. So anyway, that's what I personally think I should be doing, because that will be a major sacrifice for me, and it will bring me closer to God, I know. So going back to the themes of Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Fasting, the only fasting that is actually required by food is on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. And basically, you are allowed to have one meal and then 2 smaller meals that do not equal to the bigger meal. However, if you are pregnant or breastfeeding or recently postpartum, you are actually exempt from fasting and abstinence from meat during Lent because it is considered by the church to be a sacrifice, and it's already a great sacrifice to be doing those things, and it would actually be risky for you and your baby or your young child, if you're nursing them, to be fasting. So that is something I have not done while pregnant ever, because I know that I'm exempt from it and I knew it would be a bad idea. But if you're interested, once you reach the age of 18 all the way up to the age of 59, you're required to do the fasting as I described on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday as a Catholic. And then once you reach the age of 14, you have to abstain from meat. But as I said, the interesting thing is if you're pregnant, nursing, or recently postpartum, you're even exempt from abstaining from meat. Now, me personally, I don't find that it is hard for me to abstain from meat, and I only recently found out about that rule about abstinence from meat as a pregnant or nursing woman, that I was exempt from that. But after the fact, I was like, well, it's something that I can continue doing because I don't feel like I am harming myself or my child by just simply eating fish that day, fish, eggs, and dairy. I don't see a problem for doing that on Fridays or on Ash Wednesday. It is a sacrifice. I do feel that I am wanting meat, but I can still nourish myself and my child with those kinds of foods. But again, that's a personal preference for me. And moving on to prayer. Prayer can be a very personal thing, but there are things that people choose. Like in the past, I have said the rosary every day, or said the rosary and Divine Mercy Chaplet every day during Lent. And that was definitely a sacrifice, especially to do both. But it definitely, any kind of prayer like that will bring you closer to God. Some people choose to read the Bible or the daily readings, the daily Mass readings, or you could just simply spend a specified amount of time in prayer with God every single day. And then moving on to almsgiving, that is traditionally known as giving money and food to the poor. And that could actually extend to just giving to others who are in need, maybe even spiritually in need. So those things, there's a wide range of things that you can do or preferences. But it really all comes down to sacrifice. All 3 of these things are about us sacrificing ourselves to love God, to love Jesus, for the ultimate sacrifice that he made. And all of these things will detach us from earthly things and from our attachment to sin, and that will ultimately make us happier when we are in connection, in close connection with God. He's the one who ultimately makes us happy. And when we search for all these worldly things, like having the best clothes, the nicest hairdos, the nicest houses, everything, we just we keep on searching for those things and wanting more and more, but ultimately it is our relationship with God that we really want and that ultimately makes us happy. I hope you have found this video to be helpful, and I would love to hear what you think in the comments. If you want to share, you can tell me what you've done in the past for Lent or what you are planning to do this year. I'd love to hear about it. And please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell for all notifications. And until next time, bye.